To get my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
It all started on a Friday night when the premiere lights were flashing across downtown Los Angeles. Everyone knew Pierre was going to be there because he'd been promoting his new film for weeks. But no one expected the night to end in such chaos. People were already buzzing about whether Teyana Taylor would show up. Some said she'd been avoiding the spotlight ever since rumors started swirling that Aaron wasn't as devoted as he pretended to be. But no one really knew the truth until that video surfaced. Before the red carpet even wrapped, a short, grainy clip started circulating on social media, showing Aaron standing way too close to his co-star. In the clip, he leans in, almost brushing her cheek with his mouth, and she's giggling, covering her lips with her manicured hand like a teenage girl caught sneaking out after curfew. People started screen recording immediately. Some fans were laughing like it was harmless, but others felt their stomachs drop. The way Aaron whispered something into that co-star's ear didn't look like a casual joke. It looked intimate, almost practiced, like this wasn't the first time he'd done it. And that's exactly why everyone rushed to tag Teyana to send her direct messages she probably didn't even want to open. But curiosity always wins. By the time the premiere ended, the video had gone viral. Even gossip pages with millions of followers had posted it, throwing out captions that said things like, "Does Aaron have a secret?" or "Teyana deserves better." The craziest part is that Aaron didn't seem bothered. When photographers asked him if Teyana was joining him later, he smirked and said, "She's got her own thing tonight." He didn't look worried or nervous. He didn't look like a man whose private life was about to implode. He looked like he was enjoying the attention. And maybe he was. Maybe that's why this entire story feels so twisted, because somewhere deep down, Aaron probably liked knowing he was the center of the conversation. But if you rewind just a little, you'll see how this all started to unravel long before that red carpet moment. It wasn't just the video that cracked everything open. It was the months of whispers behind Teyana's back, the late-night phone calls Aaron would step outside to take, and the cold silences that stretched longer each week. People close to Teyana say she had been questioning his loyalty for a while. She noticed he was distant, always distracted, like he was thinking about someone else. But she kept telling herself he was just stressed about his career. She wanted to believe he was still the same man she fell for after her painful split from Amon. Their love story was never simple. Teyana was trying to rebuild her life after years of public scrutiny and heartbreak. Aaron had been her escape, her chance to feel adored again. He knew how to charm her, how to make her laugh on the days when everything felt heavy. But love can be blinding, and sometimes the very person you trust to hold you together is the one slowly tearing you apart. So when Teyana's phone lit up with messages that night, she ignored them at first. She didn't want to read the captions, didn't want to see what people were sending. But curiosity eats at you. It eats at you until you can't pretend you don't see the notifications piling up. She finally clicked the video, and all she saw was Aaron's hand on that woman's waist. It was the kind of touch you give someone when you think no one's watching. And her heart broke in ways she didn't even know it could. Sources close to her say she called her best friend immediately. She was crying so hard, she could barely get the words out. She kept asking over and over, "How could he embarrass me like this?" She defended him so many times. She told everyone he wasn't like the others, that he cared about her daughter, that he understood how fragile her trust had become. And yet, there he was on camera, proving all her worst fears were right. While Teyana was falling apart, Aaron was at the after-party, grinning with a drink in his hand. He posed for selfies with fans and pretended like nothing was happening. But even then, he had to know the fallout was coming. Maybe he thought he could spin it later, that he could call Teyana and smooth everything over with the same sweet voice that always pulled her back in. Maybe he thought she would swallow her pride one more time, because that's what she'd done before. But this time it was different. This time the whole world had seen it. By morning, the internet was a battlefield. Twitter was flooded with threads dissecting Aaron's body language, the way he touched his co-star, the look in his eyes. People slowed the video down frame by frame, convinced they could read his lips. Some claimed he said, "I miss you." Others argued it was, "You look beautiful." Either way, it didn't matter. It was enough to confirm what so many suspected. Teyana wasn't the only woman in his heart. As the speculation raged, Teyana finally broke her silence. She didn't post a statement or record a video. She just uploaded a black screen on Instagram stories with white text that read, "Respect isn't optional." Hours later, she added another, "Protect your peace." Fans immediately flooded her comments with support. They told her she deserved better. They said they'd been rooting for her to find real love after everything she went through with Iman. And in those messages, you could feel the collective heartbreak of everyone who had hoped this relationship would last. Aaron waited almost a full day before addressing it. His publicist issued a short statement calling the moment harmless and blaming the media for blowing it out of proportion. But no one was buying it. By then, the co-star had quietly disabled comments on her own Instagram, and people noticed she'd liked posts about moving in silence. It all felt calculated, like they were trying to hide the truth in plain sight. Behind the scenes, Teyana's team was scrambling to figure out what to do. They knew if she didn't say more, people would invent their own stories. But she wasn't ready to talk. She needed time to process the betrayal, to figure out whether she even wanted to salvage anything. Friends say she spent most of that weekend at home with her daughter, trying to keep her routine normal while the internet tore her personal life apart. Meanwhile, Aaron was out of sight. Some insiders claimed he went to stay at a friend's place to avoid the paparazzi. Others said he was desperately texting Teyana, begging her to meet him in person. But she refused. She'd already heard all his excuses in her head, and she couldn't bear to hear them out loud. She couldn't stand the idea of him looking her in the eye and telling her it meant nothing, when it clearly meant everything. When Monday morning came, Teyana finally emerged. She was photographed leaving a studio in New York, wearing oversized sunglasses and no expression. Reporters shouted questions at her about whether she was done with Aaron. She didn't answer, but the way she kept her head high told everyone she was done explaining herself. It was the first time in days she looked like she was regaining her power. But the story didn't end there. Late that evening, Aaron posted a video of himself walking alone by the water. He said he never meant to hurt anyone, that he understood how it looked but insisted he hadn't crossed any lines. He tried to paint himself as misunderstood. He said sometimes people want to see something that isn't there. But the damage was already done, and no carefully worded apology could erase the image burned into everyone's mind. In the chaotic days that followed, the story took on a life of its own, spilling into gossip columns, social media threads, and whispered conversations. It started with a drip, then a flood of dirt. An anonymous source dropped a bombshell, claiming Aaron had been flirting with his co-star for months behind Teyana's back. Late-night messages, secret meetings, stolen glances, the kind of scandal that turns a messy breakup into a full-blown public spectacle. Then came another insider, saying the co-star had been boasting to her friends that Aaron was more than just a scene partner. The rumor mill churned out juicy details faster than anyone could keep up. Fans who once stood by Aaron like loyal soldiers suddenly turned on him with venomous fury. His Instagram comments exploded with snake emojis, accusations of lies, betrayal, and using Teyana for fame or sympathy. But the worst part? Aaron didn't seem to flinch. Not one public apology. Not one heartfelt statement. Just silence. Or worse, a cold indifference that only fueled the fire. Meanwhile, Teyana was quietly reclaiming her power. She didn't engage with the drama, but she didn't hide either. She posted a simple photo of herself with her daughter, captioned, "My why." It was a subtle but fierce message to the world. No matter how shattered she felt, no matter how many times she'd been let down, her daughter was her reason to keep going. Her anchor, her motivation to rise above the chaos. And in that moment, fans and friends rallied around her again, sending love, support, and prayers. The public shifted their sympathy, admiration, and respect back to the woman who refused to be defined by heartbreak. By the week's end, the truth was undeniable. Their relationship was finished. Close friends confirmed Teyana had cut every tie to Aaron. She blocked his number, told mutual friends not to relay his messages, and made it clear she wasn't interested in reopening wounds. She needed space, a fortress of silence, to heal on her own terms. And no one was going to rush her journey. This was no longer a story about a broken romance. It was about a woman taking back her life, one painful but powerful step at a time. As the storm of headlines finally settled and the frenzy died down, fans were left asking the same question: how did it all fall apart so fast? How could a couple that seemed flawless, almost like a dream, be so broken when no one was watching? But maybe that's the truth behind every perfect picture. Love isn't always what it seems. Maybe those fairy tales we idolize are just fragile illusions, glittering on the surface, but cracking under pressure. The messy, complicated reality is often hidden behind smiles and Instagram posts. And in those quiet moments, when the cameras turned away and the world stopped watching, Teyana faced her reflection, raw, honest, and stronger than before. She held onto memories both sweet and painful, but above all, she carried one undeniable truth: she deserved more. More than whispered secrets behind closed doors, more than public shame disguised as private drama. She deserved a love that lifted her, not tore her down. Maybe this heartbreak was a painful ending. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something better, something real, something that no one could take away. So, as the world moved on to the next scandal, Teyana was already planning her next chapter. She knew healing wasn't going to happen overnight, but she also knew she wouldn't stay broken forever. Because no matter how much someone tries to dim your light, it always finds a way to shine again.